A tape recording of a talk given by Patti D of Chicago Park, California. This talk was the Friday evening kickoff meeting held at the 4th Annual Yosemite Summit Conference in the Curry Pavilion on Friday evening, November the 20th, 1987 at 7:30 p.m. The original recording and this copy were produced by Bill and Diana Cross of Ash Tree Fellowship Tapes, located at 4588 North Meridian, Fresno, California, 93726. Phone number 209-229-8244. This tape was produced in the spirit of AA's 12th step to carry this message, and members of the fellowship should bear in mind AA's tradition number 11 regarding anonymity at the level of press, radio, TV, and films in their use of this tape.
Would you please welcome our speaker, Patti D from Chicago Park.
I'm Patti, and I am an alcoholic. And I know you guys can't identify with this, but I'm also very vain. I couldn't believe it. Here it's snowing outside. It's raining, and I'm worried about pearls and earrings, and it's terrible. My granddaughter's with me, and we had to laugh at each other. It was just super neat. Two vain alcoholics. But it's okay to be vain today. I used to deny that. I used to say, oh no, I'm not vain. It's the honesty in the program. I'm nervous. I know nobody can identify with that either. I'll settle down in just a minute. If I do, my sponsor's going to say I'm well. I just heard the 5th chapter read, and it said some of us tried to hold on to our old ideas. Some of us. I'd sure in the hell like to know who can let go of old ideas. That amazes me. Every time I hear that chapter read, I think, now, Patti, what old idea are you hanging on to now? The old ideas like guilt, the old ideas like self-righteousness, ego, pride. And every night in the meeting, I have to say, honey, you got them all. You got them all. I've got character defects, but if I take care of my shortcomings, that's okay. I don't have to act on them today. I think this is just really super neat. I was talking to a friend of mine from Fresno earlier, and she said, did you see the snow? And I said, yeah, I walked in it. And I've seen it spiritually. I remember seeing what snow looked like. And I could of course, it's probably a lot more beautiful in my spiritual mind than what you people see, but it was neat. And I could feel it on me. Conventions to me are so exciting. I was sitting there and I was listening to everybody, and I'm an eavesdropper. I try to listen to conversations, and it's fun. We can have fun in sobriety. And what is really neat is, when I listen in and eavesdrop, I don't have to criticize anymore. I think, isn't that neat? People are sober today. I am just sitting there listening to sobriety in action. All you people are just beautiful. Absolutely. You are truly, because see, I can't see the aging process. And so you're all just young and beautiful and sober and happy and joyous and free. And I know you all worked your programs and worked your steps. And God, you released all that stuff, that keeps us sick. Oh boy. Okay. I will start back when I was a kid. Okay, I got to start someplace, so I might as well start back then. And I won't say I was born. I just come out in this world screaming. And first I want to say now, we were born winners. No, I'm serious. I hear people say, I'm a failure. I've been a failure all my life. We were actually born winners. And I'll tell you why. Remember back when you were sperm? Now the doctors say this, there were 70 million of us, all racing for the egg. Who won? Love it. Now that's an eye-opener, isn't it? Oh, I love it, love it, love it. I'm a winner. And I'm the star of my life. The director's page in the big book tells me that. I direct, I write my own scripts, my own show, and damn, I'm the star of my life. Of course, my star isn't as tarnished today as it was 14 and a half years ago. But, it's getting brighter, shinier. Back before I was 10 years old, and I don't know if you can identify with this, but, I was a liar, cheat, and a thief before I was age 10. Have any of you played solitary and cheated? I'd sit there and I'd be playing solitary, and I couldn't go any further, and I'd look around to make sure my mother wasn't watching, and I'd look around to make sure my brothers weren't watching, and I'd sneak a card in, and I'd go like fire. Sorry to say hell, but I'm going to clean up a little bit. And then I'd say, I won. Mom would say, oh, you did? Oh, yes, Mom, I won. And I knew I hadn't. Right? I cheated at cards. And I used to run in from school and tell my mother the teacher kept me after school. That was a lie. I was playing with my friends. I got home late. And I stole a piece of penny candy. And I got caught. And what was so horribly embarrassing about that was my father was an officer of the town. And I got caught. Oh, I was being a smart ass. So now I'm a liar, cheat, and a thief before 10. Now see, I'm building an image that I'm going to keep for the rest of, until I came into AA. And I knew I was lying. I knew I had stolen. And I knew I had cheated. And then I'd go to empty the garbage. And I wanted to be out playing. I didn't want to empty the garbage. And I would spill it. And my mother said, why don't you watch where you're going? You're sloppy. So now I'm not only a liar, cheat, and a thief. Hell, I'm sloppy. That's a real good image. And then I'd stumble over stools. And they'd say, why don't you watch where you're going? Gee, you're dumb. And now I'm a liar, cheat, and a thief, sloppy, and dumb. Before age 10. That was what I kind of thought of myself. Well, then at 14, I got to tell you this. Now, I had freckles all over my face. You couldn't put a pin where there wasn't a freckle. My teeth were too big for my mouth. My mouth was too big for my face. And God, I was ugly. I had this Snow White here and cut, you guys, some of you won't remember, some of you will. Butcher cut, with bangs, and here these freckles and teeth too big. I was just ugly. It even hurt me to look in the mirror. I thought, oh, you're ugly. And I wanted to be pretty, and I wasn't. At 14, my girlfriend and I got into her dad's homemade wine. And I can't tell you what that stuff did for me. Here I was 14 and I was ugly, and after 2 glasses of wine, I remember walking in front of the mirror and I thought I was beautiful. And all of a sudden I was 18 years old and I was beautiful. It got me out of me. And that's what alcohol did for me for many, many years. I could be anybody I wanted to be. I could go into cocktail lounges, and sometimes I was a mystery woman. I was a business agent for the mafia. Now, I didn't say that, but I indicated that. Very sophisticated. And then other times, I was a great toe dancer. You know, if I hadn't gotten married, I would have been great. Well, the truth of it was, when I come into AA, I found out that I didn't want to practice. I was too interested in the boys. And that's why I wasn't a great toe dancer. I was good, but I wasn't great. But I always had this feeling inside of greatness. I don't know if you guys have experienced that, but I just felt as a kid that there was something in me that was great. And I always thought I'd be a great movie actress or a great toe dancer or just anything besides little old Patsy Cline. I didn't want to be little old Patsy Cline. Well, I liked what I felt. I heard Clancy one time say in a meeting, when a normie takes a drink, it goes dribble, dribble, dribble. When an alcoholic takes a drink, it just goes boom. And that's what it did for me. It just boomed me into a world of fantasy. I could be anyone I wanted. And I had that at 14. And I indulged at 15. In fact, I got drunk 3 times. And I got sick. You know, when I first started drinking, it was like I'd try to lay down in bed and the whole world, the whole room would twirl. I'd get sick in my stomach and I'd raise up and I had to leave the light on. Now, I got awfully sick at 15. 3 different times drinking. And instead of leaving the stuff alone, I didn't. I said, I'm going to learn to drink like a lady. Now, I didn't know what a lady was, but I was going to learn to drink like a lady. I periodically drank then. My parents didn't know I was drinking, but I periodically drank. And I worked for the Bank of America, and I was pretending I was a big businesswoman. And I was pretty good. I wasn't that great, but I was good. Fast at, making change and money and all that kind of stuff, and figures in my head. And a boy that I had grew up with, we lived on the same block. We hadn't seen each other in 5 years, and that was my first marriage. He came back, and he was in his Navy uniform and stuff, and we got married. And we had a beautiful little daughter, and then we got divorced, okay? And the happiness to that is a Cinderella story. After umpteen marriages later, I remarried that guy 2.5 years ago. And that is neat. It is wonderful. He quit drinking and doesn't work his program. He won't go to AA, and it's wonderful. Oh, God. In the book, it says, we go through people's lives like a tornado. I'm getting the effects now. I'm getting what I used to dish out. 2 tornadoes hitting head on. It's not like 2 little Volkswagens, I'll tell you. But anyway, we got divorced and I went on a real drinking spree. I just poured it down. And I did that through several marriages. Some women made a career of business. Hell, I made a career of husband. I don't know. I would go on a drinking sprees, and then I'd think, well, I'm drinking too much. I better get married. So I would. And 2 weeks after I thought, oh, Patty, what have you done now? It was just, and now I'm not saying that I was cold and callous. I'm saying I was an alcoholic and didn't know it. And I added on to my guilt. I ended up in hotel rooms, hell, I don't know with whom. I don't even know their names. I don't know if I had sex or not, if it was good or bad. I was drunk. And I didn't do it for the purpose except I acquired, as I continued to drink heavy, I got lonelier. You know, I felt that as a kid. Even at my own birthday parties, I didn't feel like I belonged. I thought they was coming over to play with my brothers or whatever, but I never felt like I belonged any place. And when I was over there, I wanted to be over here, and I was discontented. I was at dis-ease, except when I was drinking. And then I felt okay with me. But I never felt okay in between drinking. It was just, I was on a merry-go-round. That's what I was on. And it was all real destructive drinking. Now, I didn't see this until I came into Alcoholics Anonymous. When I was, I don't remember exactly when, but anyway, I went into the restaurant business. And I was sitting, my customers, I'd have to wait on them occasionally because the waitress wouldn't show up. And there's a lot of drinking in waitress work, you know, and they was Clear Lake Highlands. That's where I had the restaurant. But anyway, I started setting plates down on my customers' arms, and they'd say, well, Patty, you know, watch what you're doing. And I thought, well, hell, I am. And then they'd be going to give me their money to pay at the cash register. And I'd be talking to them, and they'd say, well, don't you want this? And I'd say, oh, yes. And I thought, Jesus, something's going on with my vision. Now, I was into my, second or third marriage by that time. And so I went to this doctor to check out my vision. And he stepped back and he says, I think you better see a specialist. And so I thought, why should I see a specialist? What's wrong? All I need is a pair of glasses. Now, I was drinking. I'm not even going to tell you because it would sound like exaggeration, but I was working from 12 to 15 to 18 hours a day in my own restaurant. And I was a janitor, and I was a clean-up person. You do everything when you own your own business. And I thought I was tired, and I thought, well, if I get glasses, it'll help. But never once did I think about all the alcohol that I was pouring down me when I was working. And alcohol kept me going. Alcohol was my friend. It did for me what I couldn't do for myself. And I didn't see it back then. But anyway, I said, well, what do you see that's going on? And he says, well, I think you're losing your vision. And I said, you got to be kidding me. He said, no. Well, I really didn't take it that serious in his office. And I said, well, what do you think it is? And he says, well, it's retinitis pigmentosa, from what I can see. But you'll have to go to a specialist. And so then how we alcoholics are, we're going to get into the nitty-gritty. And I said, well, how long have I got a vision, And he says, well, I don't know. And I lied, and I said, well, I'm planning on starting another restaurant, so should I or shouldn't I? Because I was trying to get an idea of what the hell was going on in his mind. And he says, I wouldn't advise it. Oh. And so I left, and I handled it. I was cool until I got out of his office. And then I started futuring and visualizing that, oh my God, I'm not going to see my daughter grow up. I'm not going to see this. I'm not going to see that. I'm going blind. And I went on a 3-month drunk. I did go to a specialist, and he indicated something was going on, but he wasn't really honest with me because there was no cure. So I guess that's why he didn't tell me. And then I began to really escape from myself. I couldn't stand my thoughts. They say that we alcoholics, we want to run away from responsibility. We want to run away from reality of the world. See, I disagree with that. I think that's a damn lie. I could not stand my thoughts and my emotions, and that's why I drank. I didn't want to run away from responsibility. I wanted to get away from my own thoughts because I didn't know how to change them. I had no idea how to change them. So I went on this 3 months running drunk, and somewhere along the line I remarried, and boy, now that's a trip. Get to the amends, the 9th step. Try to make amends to all those sets of in-laws. Oh, God. You know, I wouldn't, whew. And I said, God, I'm willing, but God don't lay that on me, you know. And I am willing, but so far, well, maybe a couple, but he hasn't really laid that much on me yet. I'm still going, though. We'll see. But anyway, I continued to drink real heavy. And there was, I think the real hardest thing for me to forgive in this program was, was rape, really, by a friend. I was raped by a stranger, and that didn't bother me too much. But to be raped by a friend, and I thought I'd go to my grave hating that man, absolutely hating him. And then I found out a way of relieving that. Okay? But I was continuing to run away from my blindness. And, you know, if anybody's in here having problems, physical problems and so forth, I wasted a lot of years futuring. Hell, I could see then, but I was so worried about the time that I wasn't going to be able to see that I missed a lot in my daughter growing up. You know, I was in so much self-pity. I was either drunk or in self-pity. And I missed seeing her by getting caught up in futuring. You know, I didn't know to live one day at a time. But I'm here to tell you, live one day at a time. Enjoy what's going on right now. I don't care, you know, if you're handicapped or whatever. It doesn't matter. Enjoy the people you're with. Enjoy what's going on right now. And see, that's what I didn't do. I'm enjoying my grandkids now, but hell, I can't see them. I'd love to see them, but I can't. But I miss all that scene with my own daughter. You know, that's sort of sad. I don't want you guys to miss any of that. That's why I'm saying that. No. So the drunken life, and I stand here a sober person, and you know I'm a fairly intelligent person. I think I've got a good mind. I'm intelligent, and I absolutely could not see that alcohol was getting to me. I thought it was my vision. I thought it was, boy, if you was married to those husbands, you'd drink too. And I learned out of the bottle to blame people, places, and things for everything. I mean, I could rationalize right down to the nitty-gritty. I could rationalize that it was your fault. I was the type of person so perfect that if I had anyone with me and I went into a drugstore to buy a pencil and there was a pencil with an eraser and a pencil without an eraser, for show and tell, I'd buy the damn pencil without the eraser. Because I wouldn't want anyone to know that I made mistakes. I always blamed. And now, because of this program, I buy the one with big erasers. I'm capable of doing that today, admitting that I made a mistake. But in those days, I couldn't. No way I couldn't. I got into self-hate and guilt over the things that I was doing. You know, I violated all my morals. And I can blame that strictly on alcohol. Alcohol just, it seemed like at the time I was doing what I was doing, it seemed perfectly right to do it. But then as the alcohol drained off my brain a little bit, and the next morning I think, oh my God, what have I done? You know, when I'd wake up in these motel rooms, I'd wake up and I'd feel to see who was next to me. And I'd think, oh my God, there's a body there. What have I done? And then I'd reach over, because I knew I'd have a bottle of scotch there. And I'd drink a big glass of scotch, And I feel guilty, just guilty. And I drink that scotch, and I think, well, that wasn't so bad. That's what it did for me. Nothing was so bad when I was drinking. I didn't have any problems when I was drinking. I felt fine on top of the world, and just beautiful. It was in between drinks that I suffered all the damn guilt. So, if you stay drunk, you don't have to suffer guilt. And I tried that the last 11 years that I drank. My mother had died, and I felt responsible for her death. And I remember standing out by my swimming pool, and I had my jug, and I was drunk, and I just rage hated God. Why did you do this? Why didn't you take me instead of my mother? And you're trying to punish me. I had a very punishing God, a revengeful God. He was going to get even with me. And I don't know for what. I was just full of fear. That increased as I continued to drink. Now, I don't want you to think I was drunk all the time. I had some times that I wasn't. I was vice president of a corporation at one time, and I did fairly well in businesses, and I would have done better, but I drank them up and I lost them. And, the thinking of an alcoholic, God, it was crazy. Here I have this restaurant. It was in a resort area, and most of the business people know everybody in the resort area. It's kind of like maybe in Mariposa or whatever, around this lake. And there was one pink and black Ford Victoria car in the whole of the lake, and I bought it. Now, I have a pink and black car. Now, you can't hide that. Okay, I buy this pink and black car, and I was working all those hours in the restaurant, and I think, you've probably heard people do this. Total ego. Oh, I've got to get away from this. I'm so tired. People are pressing me. The phones are ringing. I've got to cook. On and on and on. Strictly ego. So I've got to get away from it all. I've got to get some rest. So I would take this car, and I would get in it, and I would drive down a ways around the lake, and right on the bend, I get carried away. Right on the bend was a cocktail lounge. Now, as you come around the corner, you can see the whole parking lot. Now, I'd park my pink and black car right in front, go in, order a drink, and here would come some of my friends. Oh, Patty, how are you? I say, how in the hell did you find me? Now, isn't that alcoholic thinking? How in the hell did you find me? Ego, show off, that's what alcohol creates. I thought lust was love, and I was in love a lot. And I can see that, the longer I'm sober, the more I can see what I had become. And it really wasn't very pretty. But at the time I was going through it, I couldn't see it. I absolutely couldn't see it. When I came into Alcoholics Anonymous, I had a very difficult time. They would say, well, Patty, no one can hurt your feelings. And I'd say, the hell they can. Why am I crying then if they can't hurt my feelings? They don't have the power to hurt your feelings. And I'd say then I couldn't understand it. I know we probably have newcomers here tonight, and I don't have any words for newcomers except it gets better. And then it gets worse. And then it gets better, and then it gets worse. But we just don't drink one day at a time. We just don't drink. They told me it was the first drink that got me drunk, and I thought, oh, no. It took a fifth to get this baby drunk. I didn't know it was the first drink that got me drunk. Oh, it's all such a new way of life, a new way of thinking. And I had to change my thinking, but I didn't know that. I thought I was sweet, lovable, kind, and considerate. But all you other people were whatever, you know. I really, truly thought I was a very lovable person. With all the hate in me, with all the resentment, I had this big knot in my gut. And I didn't know what was, it was driving me crazy. And I didn't know what it was until I started in my steps. I had no idea. If they would have told me, and you newcomers kind of plug your ears, if they would have told me that I would go through what I did, hell, I think I would have died drunk. Boy, it was the hardest thing in the world for me to do, was to save my life. Because I wouldn't have given you a plug nickel. I didn't want to live. The last year that I drank, I tried to commit suicide 3 times, and I was dead serious. The first time, my gun that I had been practicing with, I remember holding it to my head and pulling the trigger, and it didn't go off. And I shook it, and I did that 3 times. The damn thing didn't work. And I thought, oh well, I can't even do that. I found out that the pen was broke. Now, I don't know how that pen got broke. I think God intervened. The second time I tried to commit suicide, you know that song that you sing, Is This All There Is? And I don't want to live in this world without love. Oh boy. And those songs were going on in my mind. And I took, now you know they say that, one of our senators or statesmen or something, he took maybe 4 or 5 Valium, and they said he OD'd, and they put him in the hospital. I can remember. Hell, I took a whole bottle, 97 of them. I only had used 3 out of this Percotan, and washed it down with scotch and said, goodbye, cruel world. And then the next morning I woke up. I thought, oh no, not another day. And I had to laugh when this guy took 4 or 5 and hell, he ended up in the hospital for 2 weeks. I couldn't believe it. But then the third time I tried to commit suicide, this is all in 1 year, I tried to stick an ice pick in my stomach. And the gristle, I couldn't get by the gristle. I could hear it. I didn't hurt myself. It was just a little bit of blood and stuff. But, ooh. But here I was like this, you know, thinking, God, it's not going in. I mean, you know, that's... God must have something in store for me because I wasn't successful at that. But then I was in AA probably 8 months. And I'm kind of jumping around, but that's okay. It's my story. And I was in AA about 8 months, and I heard a speaker say something about, now my vision is really getting bad now. And when I first came into AA, I could see faces and people across the room, you know, and kind of distinguish a little bit. But now it was really getting kind of lights out. And I heard him say about a doctor in San Jose could cure my vision. And I thought, neat, great. And that's when I was still running around, you know, trying to get a cure. And so I made this appointment with this Dr. Vaughn in San Jose. And then a friend of mine in AA went with me. I didn't take my daughter because I didn't think I could handle her being there, you know, because I didn't know what was going to happen. But I got excited. I got my hopes up. So I go into this doctor and I made the appointment, and he examined my eyes. Now I had been examined. I'd even been to New York on this vision thing. And you got to get used to the tone. Well, Patti. And when he says, well, Patti, I kind of sit there and I felt this knot in my stomach. And he said, what can I do for you? And I said, well, hell, restore my vision. And he says, I can't. Well, I just come unglued and I started crying. And I had my head down like this, and I was saying, why me, Lord? Why me? And I swear to you, God talked. I heard a voice, just like I'm hearing my own voice right now. And you know what God said to me? I don't know, Patty. There's just something about you that pisses me off. I looked up and I says, what'd you say? And he says, Patty, I didn't say anything. And I says, oh, well, that doesn't matter. And for the first time, I didn't care how I looked. I got rid of my vanity, and I went to a meeting in San Jose, and mascara was running because I didn't care. That was the day that I decided I wanted to live. It was just like, you know, these freeway light bulbs. They go from 50 to 150 to 300. It was just like the whole world got brighter. And I didn't know until that day that all my life I'd wanted to die. Even though I was born a winner, I didn't know I was a winner when I was born. I didn't find that out till I came into AA. You know, I didn't know a damn thing about sperm and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I just, I don't know what I thought, but I didn't know I was a winner. And boy, today I do. And I won't forget that. But I didn't know I didn't know I'd wanted to die. And I know that I couldn't have gotten that damn mixed up in 14 years. You know, I had to have brought something in from a past life. No one can get that screwed up in lousy 14 years. But that's, you know, that's either here or there. It's just kind of what I think. But anyway, that was the last time that I went to a doctor for a cure. I had run around and I do get into, like my granddaughter. She got dressed up here about a month ago and attended an AA function in Grass Valley. And, I didn't even bring a handkerchief. I didn't know I was going to do this. Thank you. Well, anyway, I can't see the aging process, so there is some good to it, huh? But I did want to see her. And, darn. But the other side of that coin is I saw her on a spiritual plane. And God, she was beautiful. I visualized her. And it was just, I see better today than I've ever seen in my life. I can see the beauty in people. And this is because of Alcoholics Anonymous. This is because I found the concept of God that is just tremendous. I can be happy, joyous, and free. And I can see things on the way up here. A friend of mine drove us up. And that's another thing. She's an Al-Anon. Now here Susan and I, real recovered alcoholics, running around trying to find pearls when it's snowing outside, trying to find earrings, you know, and she's sitting there very quiet and calm. And we're all nervous and excited. And she's excited too, but she's just calm. But anyway, she was describing the scenery to me. And as she was telling me about the different colors, I could see them in my mind. And I'd probably see them more beautiful than I could if I had physical vision. You know, it's just, it's a beautiful gift that God has given me. It isn't really what I've lost, it's what I have left. Because of AA, it isn't My glass isn't half empty today. It's half full. You know, and I love that. I really do. I get into a little regret occasionally, but I didn't anymore. I'll tell you an experience I had. It was difficult. I accepted my blindness, but what I had a problem with was accepting my limitations. Okay, and accepting the limitations. But I didn't want to accept that I was an alcoholic either. You know, I didn't know what a damned alcoholic was, but I didn't want to be one. It didn't sound good to me. It sounded kind of like maybe my life had ended. And I was in AA for 4 months before I'd say I was an alcoholic. I was in this one meeting. Oh, this was terrific. I was in this one meeting, and I don't know how I even got to the meeting. I got there. I was 4 months sober, and I was hurting. No sponsor, no AA, just white knuckling it. And I was in this meeting, and they were calling on people, and they called on me, and there was about 75 alcoholics in that room. And they called on me, and I said, I'm Patti, and I have emotional problems. Oh, God. Say that around a bunch of alcoholics. Oh. And some guy, now, he didn't have patience or tolerance for a newcomer. Probably the asshole hadn't worked his steps. He got up. He got up and he said, if you have emotional problems, go see a psychiatrist. In an AA meeting, that's love, I'll tell you. And I got up half in my chair because now, see, I don't know anything about God, and I haven't worked the steps, and I'm hurting. Oh, God, I'm hurting, and I feel guilty, and I'm trying to face this blindness and futuring, and I'm just a mess. So I got up half in my chair, and I said, you mean to tell me that unless I say I'm an alcoholic, I can't stay in this goddamn meeting? Because I didn't have much patience either as a newcomer. And I wasn't very tolerant. And thank God for the chairperson. Roger was his name. He said, Patti, do you have a desire not to drink today? And I said, yes. He said, sit down, you're in the right place. You know, that's beautiful. Yeah, you can applaud on that. That's me. Yeah. That saved my life because I was so full of pride, so full of... I actually couldn't see my drinking pattern because I hadn't been sober long enough. You know? And with all the pride I had, if he hadn't said that, I wouldn't be standing here at this podium sober. I'd have probably walked right out of there, went back to the bars, and died drunk. See, that was an Eskimo for me. That was God. He was being used as an instrument. He was channeling. God was channeling through that chairperson. Well, then I finally got into the steps a little bit, and my sponsor said, you know, you didn't want to be an alcoholic, and you didn't accept it, and you finally did. She said, don't you think it's time that you looked at your blindness? And I said, no. And she said, well, you're going to have to someday. And I said, okay. And, but way back when, I had an image of what a blind person was. Because I was drinking real heavy. I owned this home out in these side acres in this town. And I don't know how she got my name. The social worker heard there was a gal going blind out there and so forth. And so she came out and talked to me, and she says, well, let me take you into Fresno, and I will show you how well blind people do. I guess they thought I needed therapy. Of course, she could smell my breath, you know. That was kind of an indicator that something was going on. And I said, okay, that sounds like a good idea. And so I got in this car with her, and we drove into Fresno, and I could see... I was getting down to tunnel vision, but what I seen, I could see pretty clear at that time. And, you know, of course, it was a little foggy because I drank so much, but I could still see a little clearly. And so we drive up to this place. We go in, and here sits a woman, bless her heart. Her hair was stringy. She had a dress on her, and her slip showed about that much below her dress, and dirty dishes all over and flies. I mean, I looked at her, and she says, oh, you know, it's not bad being blind, and I can do this, and I can do that. And I looked around, and I thought, oh. We got in the car, and the second place we went to was the same thing. And Roberta says, see, Patty, how well they're doing? I said, yeah, they're doing great. Yeah, real great. And so the third house was the same way. Well, we got to the fourth one, and it was a big, beautiful home. And I thought, well, now maybe I'll see something different. Well, we go in, and here's this woman. She's going to show me how she can cook. Blind people can cook, see? And she's peeling potatoes, and they're going all over the stove. And I looked at that, and then she takes her onion, and it just goes all over the stove. And oh God. And so she gets out this silver service thing, you know, that you wheel, and these elegant serving, canisters or whatever, and they were silver, and so she pushed it in. Well, her daughter said, now, Mom, would you like for me to pour it? And she says, oh, no, I can do it fine. So she picks up these delicate little cups and pours it on the floor. And so we walked out of there, and Alberta says, now, see, Patty's doing well. And I says, oh, yeah. I said, I don't want to be blind. Take me home. And that's what I said, you know, about being an alcoholic. I don't want to be an alcoholic. Do something. That was that, you know, denial. Well, with my drinking, see, when I drink, that's all I could do was drink. I didn't do yard work. I didn't try to do nothing. I just drank. So I didn't really have to face anything that was going on. I didn't have to face that I was drinking too much. You know, you stay in that whatever until you can't stay it anymore. And I didn't want to be an alcoholic. I didn't want to be blind. No way. And towards the end of my drink, you guys are going to pinch your skin after this, but God, I was getting dehydrated and I didn't know why. And I'd pinch my skin and the damn stuff would stand up, and I'd poke it down. I'd think, what's the matter with me? And I went to my favorite little doctor, little old man. And I went in. Of course, now I'm an alcoholic and did not know it. And I knew that I was going to die. I always thought I was going to die of something rare, you know, real rare. So I go in, and I tell him about my skin, and I said, what's the matter with me? And I says, I think I have a rare skin disease. And he checked my skin, and he gave me a shot of vitamin B, like B12 or something, or maybe that's what you put on plants. Anyway, it was vitamin B. And he said, Patty, I wish you'd see a psychiatrist. Now, see, he knew I was going to die. That's why he wanted to send me to a psychiatrist, okay? And so like any good alcoholic, to remove my fear, I went out and I got drunk. And then I started having these muscle cramps in my toes and in my hands. Oh boy, real Charlie horses. You know, I'd lay in bed at night and I would think, now I'm just going to ease over slowly. And God, one of those things that hit, and I'd hit the floor, and oh, they hurt. I mean, probably nobody's drank enough in here to have cramps. I don't know, but boy, they are rough. I had a rare muscle disease. So I went to my little doctor and I said, I have a rare muscle disease. He gave me a shot and told me he wished I'd see a psychiatrist. And got into fear because I knew that he knew I was going to die of a rare muscle disease. And I went out and got drunk to remove the fear. See, I didn't know this, but drinking removed my fear. I didn't have fear when I drank. And when I was in between drinking, you know, kind of a sober state or just half-ass smash, I got into fear. Well, I didn't realize that. I thought drinking gave me courage. Well, it was just the opposite. It just removed the fear. My brain was getting numb. I got to be a mess. I had nightmares. I'd wake up in my closet trying to choke myself screaming. And I was seeing animals that weren't there. I was hearing voices whispering. And I'd turn on the light and nobody would be there. So I thought I was going insane. I really did. I thought I was losing my mind. And, oh God. And then I ended up on the alcoholic ward. Now that's how I came into AA. And for some reason the AA people then, they didn't like for people to come in through another program. See, they hadn't worked their steps either. And I didn't know what to talk about, so I would talk about the hospital treatment center, my recovery program, and they didn't like that too well. I was telling these alcoholics all about alcoholism. I was getting it from the doctors. But they didn't say anything. And they loved me until I was capable of loving myself. They gave me a lot of patience and tolerance, except for that one person I was telling you about. And I prayed for him. But that's okay. And then I discovered, I had my bubble blown about 2 months after I was in AA. When I really came into AA, I thought everybody that had sobriety was saints. And I was in awe over a few years of sobriety. Man, I was just in awe. And then I would start going to the meetings, and especially at the club, and I'd see all these cars parked out there, but not too many people in the meetings. And I think, what the hell's going on? Well, they were switching cars, and, in AA you can find anything you want. And I'm going to say this because it's true. You can find a one-night stand. You can find a shack job. You can find anything you want in AA. But you can also find sobriety. It's whatever you put your attention on. I think AA is a little patent place, and it's kind of neat, but that's what it is. Because you know what? There's no saints in AA. There's no authorities. Every one of us came out of the bottle. And we can't expect anyone to be well overnight. I have relations that think because you stop drinking, you should immediately be well balanced, use good judgment, be dependable, be responsible, and that is bullshit. It's not possible. Some of us have tried to hold on to our old ideas. And I'd like to know the one that didn't. And so when the newcomers come in, and they're going nuts like I was, and you people show tolerance and patience, like I was shown, except by that one guy. Show patience and tolerance because we don't get well overnight. And, it's kind of neat that we don't. Because if we get the program too damn easy, we're apt to throw it away. My program didn't come easy for me. It really didn't. I had stuff going on in my head that was unreal. Absolutely unreal. And then I learned how to forgive. Through working my steps, I learned that the only reason I got angry was because I wasn't capable of handling what was going on inside me. So I'd show my anger. But then I've got to give the other person the right to be angry too. Because they can't deal with what's going on inside them. I've learned in this program that God loves me and loves us not for what we've done, who we are. God loves us because of who He is. Total love. You can't have love and hate. God can't be divided. If God can love me because of who He is, then I can love other people because I want love in my heart today. You know, there's judging, there's criticizing, there's condemning oneself, condemning other people. I give it up. Well, my granddaughter's here. 90% of it I've given up. Okay, I'm hanging on to 10%. But 90% I've given up. I've learned this program. I've learned what I have become. The reason I didn't know where in the hell I was or who I was is because I didn't know where I've been. Until I worked my fourth and fifth step, I didn't know where I'd been. I didn't know what I'd become. And in working the steps, it showed me my pattern, what I had become. And it showed me I don't have to be that person anymore. I can change my whole way of living, my whole lifestyle through the help of God. And that's what I've done. You know, AA, you guys will have to let me know. I go on and on. What time is this? Anybody? Yeah. AA for me has the steps, the first 10 steps, absolutely opened up the gates of my hell and let me out. And the 11th step and the 12th step have opened up the gates of heaven, and that's what I live in, that fourth dimension. You know, life is absolutely beautiful today. It's a life that I never knew existed. I used to say, you know, how long am I going to hurt? How long am I going to hurt? My sponsor would say, Patty, you're going to hurt as long as you want to. And I said, but I don't want to hurt. She says, then don't. It was so simple that I couldn't see it. You know, sobriety, if somebody would have told me, Patty, you swim that ocean and get ice cold and climb that mountain and get all bloody, there's sobriety on the other side. I could have done that. That's show and tell. You know, get all bloody and boy, you look at me. But they said simply, don't take the first drink. Now, that was too goddamn simple, because it took a fifth to get me drunk, not a drink. And it was hard for me to admit that 1 damn ounce of alcohol, just 1 little ounce of alcohol, I take a drink, the drink takes me. And I've heard that in AA, and it's true. I can't handle it. Regardless, and I'm strong. You know, I've got, boy, my willpower is, woo, it is strong. I can't handle 1 damn little ounce of fluid called alcohol, or I'm gone forever. Forever. There's no way. But to admit that was very, very difficult. I think it was because I didn't want to live when I came in here. I must have had a spark of something in me, or I wouldn't have walked through the doors of Alcoholics Anonymous. And I asked my sponsor, and I'll share this, I said, how long do I have to go to those damn meetings? She says, Patty, I've got a suggestion. Why don't you go until you want to go? Oh, she was smart. I went until I wanted to, and I'm still coming back. Still coming back. We alcoholics are beautiful, beautiful people. You know, romances and finances will kill us. And we hurt. We pound the table. We say it isn't right. And we just go on and on and on and on. But we stay sober. Isn't that something? We stay sober together. We stay sober together. That's what's so beautiful about this program. I can get all caught up in a lot of things and walk into a meeting and it starts and I can just feel the Spirit of God. Just absolutely, you can feel it. Of course, I couldn't feel it till I worked my fourth and fifth step. People would talk about love, and I'd think, oh, God. You know, they looked awful selfish and self-centered to me. And I didn't know I was seeing myself until I worked my fourth and fifth step, and I went to a meeting after I worked it, and all of a sudden I felt like I belonged. I did not feel like I belonged in AA at my first meeting. And I've heard a lot of people, this has happened to you. Well, you know, God bless you. I think you're lying, but that's okay. God bless you. It didn't happen to me. You know, I did not feel like I belonged in AA. I didn't know where in the hell I belonged, but I didn't belong anywhere. For about 8 months. I craved a drink. I couldn't see, but I could tell you where every damn billboard was that they just jumped right out at me. Cocktail lounges just jumped right out at me. For 8 months. And then I too had a spiritual awakening. You know, if we work the steps, we're bound to, you can't go to meetings and not have something rub off on you. You know, it really does. My life today, I can't say inside I'm fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Inside. Now, my world around me is sort of not all together. I've only had 2.5 years working at this marriage. It's not all together. But that's okay, because inside I'm together. Inside is where it comes from. Happiness, love. I heard a little thing once that said, love was put in my heart to stay, but love is not love until I give it away. Isn't that neat? You know, that is neat. And this is what AA has taught me. I can give my love. I don't reach out anymore. I don't reach out to shake your hand, or I don't reach out. And I'll tell you why I don't. My sponsor told me, Patty, even though you can't see, start reaching out, putting your hand out. One day, oh God, one day I reached out and I was going to shake my girlfriend's hand, and I grabbed her boob. And she says, Patty, I thought you came in with only one problem. And so, but, you know, I might reach out for you men, but be careful. You know, you got to sidestep me. I got to tell you the rationalization of an alcoholic, and I discovered the answer to that when I came into AA. I was talking about, you know, being raped, and I used to have cab drivers take me home. You know, I was a lady. I would have the bartender tell me 10 minutes before the lights went out. You know how they flicker them on and off? And I wanted to be a lady, so I always left at 1:30. I didn't stay till 2. And this cab driver this night, he'd taken me home before, and I'd always go into the door, set my purse on the table, take out the money, pay him, close the door, lock it, and then crumble on the floor. Because I had locked my knees and I unlocked it and I fell down. This one night he brought me home, and I did the same ritual, paid him, and he took me in the bedroom. Well, I hated him, and I just, for 3 days I wouldn't even go out of my home, and I suffered, you know, because I had been raped. You know what I found out when I came in there and got honest? It wasn't because he raped me that I was feeling bad. It was because it was the first damn piece of ass I'd ever paid for. I was embarrassed. Can you believe that? And that's the truth. God. And I saw that honesty, and I looked at my sponsor, and I started laughing because I couldn't remove my hate for him. But then I saw that, and I just released it, you know. It was, oh, boy. Oh, you know, you can take a blind person like me, and you can rehabilitate us, and you can teach us alternative techniques, and we can live kind of a happy life, but where I'm still blind. You can take a paraplegic, and you can teach a paraplegic different techniques, rehabilitate him. He can live a happy life, but he's still a paraplegic. You can take an alcoholic, and all we have to do is don't put that damn stuff in us, or a drug is a drug, or dope, and we can have a total recovery. And live just a happy, beautiful life. And isn't that beautiful? We work our steps, turn. It's so simple. All you do when you come into Alcoholics Anonymous is change your whole way of thinking, change your whole lifestyle around, and you can be happy. Isn't that neat? You can be happy. I think that's the neatest thing. I heard in a meeting once, and I'll never forget this. This guy was sitting in the chair. You guys have probably heard it. If you have, you're going to hear it again. He was sitting in his chair, and he's reading the paper, and his old 4-year-old was bothering him, so he tore a page out of the paper of the map of the world, and tore it in a few pieces and told his son to go put it together. His son came back in a very short time. And the father says, how did you get that back together so fast? He said, on the other side was a man. I put the man together, and his world fell into place. Now that is beautiful. We're going to have the most beautiful convention we've ever had. I love the snow. I love you people. I hope you love me. And if some of you don't love me, work your 11th step, and you sure in the hell will. Thank you very much. Thank you, Patty. Thank you so very much.